So when we're looking at the window, a general window, for example, a calculator, there's a lot of different things that are part of this calculator. And there's a few key terms that you should know as you go through your tutorials, as you go through online searching. Frame being the window on the screen. You need some sort of frame to be able to show things. You'll find out that there's more than just the standard J-frame. That's up to you to learn. There are components, which are things on the frame. So, for example, buttons, panels, labels. There are containers, which are also technically things on the frame, but the purpose of a container is to organize other components. You can think about in your room, hopefully you have a dresser of some sort to put clothes. So clothes are a component, which are things in your room. Your dresser is also a thing in your room, but it's also a container. It holds things. It holds your clothes. Hopefully your clothes are not on the floor. And then layout is how a container stores its different components. So your frame, your frame has a certain layout. How you organize your room, where you place your bed, where you place your dresser, where you place your table. It's organized in a certain way. Also, your dresser has a certain layout. You can see that there are different kinds of dressers that exist out there, and they all have different layouts. So these are the four main keywords, I guess, key vocabulary that you'll need to know for understanding layout. So if we were to take this understanding into this app, okay? So we're going to talk about the three components that are more visual, and then layout we'll discuss a little bit more once we get into the programming aspect. So the frame is where everything is contained. You can think of it like your room. And so this entire window is your frame. Everything is going to be placed in the frame. How you open and close your program, it's based on this frame. Components are the different things inside your room, inside your program. Okay, they're just things, just like clothes, table, bed. These are things in your room, and so each of these things are components. Also, technically, containers are components, right? And so containers, what are containers? Well, containers are things that we kind of house our components in order to be able to organize them. And so, for example, here, if we take a look at this area, we can see that it's kind of, the buttons are kind of organized in a grid-like structure. So each button is a component. We can also say that this area is organized in a grid-like structure. And so we could probably say that everything inside here is inside a container that has a grid kind of layout. Yeah. And so components, frame, let's go back. Frame is kind of like your room. Containers are things that hold components, and components are different things in your room. Just like any other container, a container could hold another container. Think about if you have an dresser organizer, or maybe you have a shoebox. Okay, so you have a shoebox, you put your shoes in it, you can put your shoebox in a dresser because you want to organize it or something. So it's possible to have containers within containers, because containers, again, are components. It can get confusing. Just kind of refer to the room analogy. a shoebox is a container, but it is also a thing in your room. You can put a shoe in a shoebox. And also you can put a shoebox in a dresser. And a dresser can be in a room. Your room being the frame, the component being the shoe, but also the shoebox and the dresser are also components, but they're also containers in that they can hold other things inside. And so that's the general idea about layouts. You have frames, components, containers.